Media recognition from Bloomberg, Reuters, recycling trade publications. Patented process for 100% recovery of critical metals, including cobalt, lithium, nickel, manganese, aluminum. American Manganese is focused on recycling lithium-ion batteries for electric vehicles. American Manganese trades on the TSX Venture, AMY, the US, AMYZF, and Frankfurt 2AM. For more information, visit AmericanManganeseInc.com or phone me, Larry Ray, at 778-574-4444.
Welcome to the Goddard Report. Comments made on the Goddard Report and TalkDigitalNetwork.com are an expression of opinion only. Here is Jim Goddard.
My guest is Jordan Bateman, Vice President of Communications and Marketing for the Independent Contractors and Business Association. His website, icba.ca. Welcome back to the show, Jordan.
Hey, thanks for having me, Jim.
Jordan, the impact on the construction industry so far from people being isolated or having to work from a distance, have you been able to do business?
Yeah, we have. So in British Columbia, we were fortunate. We were declared an essential service by Dr. Bonnie Henry in the Provincial Health Office. We were given strict rules on how it would have to unfold. But, I would say construction, our estimates are between 80 and 85% continuing on. There have been some little flare-ups here and there as far as a shortage of workers. Maybe they're self-isolating, maybe they have symptoms, maybe they have someone at home who is at risk for COVID, so they've pulled out of the workforce. There have been a few minor supply chain issues, mainly around kind of intricate supplies coming from Asia, which has more to do with the Asian recovery from the pandemic than it does from British Columbia's. But by and large, so far, knock on wood, so good. 80-85% of projects continuing on. A couple high-profile ones that have slowed, Site C, Coastal GasLink, Trans Mountain, but still they are continuing on.
Now, of course, that's good news. What about who's being impacted the most? Is it the smaller contractors who would be building houses or working inside a construction site?
The ones that we hear from the most are the ones who are worried, not so much about what's happening right now, because most people are still working through order books that were filled previously, before the crisis started. It's the next projects. It's a slowdown in the way municipalities do business, both from a bureaucratic point of view and from a political point of view. If you're going to build a high-rise or a building, a commercial project, you have to have the bureaucrats sign off on it, and then you have to have council vote on it, and then you have to have all your permitting and whatnot. All of those processes have slowed, which does lead to some concern about, what's going to happen in 2021, what's going to happen in 2022. We've been telling our construction members to consider 2019 as their high watermark, and that, it'll probably take until 2023 to get close to, that again. But again, a lot of that depends on how the economy rebounds, if there's a vaccine for this within 18 months, and a bunch of other factors outside of people's control.
Well, the latest I heard, they're testing a vaccine on monkeys in Montana. You never think of monkeys being in Montana, but apparently there they are. And it was developed by scientists in England. So there's hope at some point, I hope. But again, we don't know how the monkeys are going to react yet.
No, there's actually several vaccines that are different or potential vaccines at different kind of stages. But yeah, it takes time, right? Like the last thing you want to do is, move to mass human immunization and then discover that you've actually injected people with something worse. So you need to make sure that it's safe and obviously, it's scientifically proven. And, that does take time. So, there's kind of doom and gloomers on social media especially, who will tell you that, life will never be normal again until there's a vaccine. I'm not a doom and gloomer like that. I do think that life, will adapt. We'll find ways to do virtually everything that we did before. And then when the vaccine comes, maybe that's when you finally have the ability to do international travel again and things like that.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking technology 2020. If we put people on the moon using 1960s technology, I have a feeling, with all the money and brains being put on this, there probably will be no other disease that got more attention and probably a number of cures or treatments or vaccines will show up all at once, and perhaps a year and a half from now, we'll be laughing about this.
Well, you're exactly right. I mean, never has so much brain power in humanity been put towards one issue, one topic, one serious threat to our civilization. So, if you're an optimist in the power of the human intellect and its science, as I am, you think, okay, eventually there's going to be breakthroughs. And you know what? The vaccine may be the last piece. It may be they come up with, treatments that are more effective and reduce the risk of, needing, ICUs and ventilators. That might be the first step. Who knows what the scientists will crack, we'll figure out and crack the case on here. But, for the rest of us, it's our job. We have to keep the economy and the planet going. We have to make sure that, there is something for people to return to. And that does mean, going back out into the world, when we're allowed to, go back out into the world, working, providing goods and services, buying goods and services, and all those different things that ensure that there is a society to return to.
Yeah, and we're finding out too about antimicrobial properties of certain things. The virus survives longest on plastic and stainless steel, but copper will kill it within 4 hours. So perhaps we'll see old-time bathroom fixtures become popular again, even though you have to polish them more, otherwise they turn green.
Well, copper wiring is always the first thing to get stolen out of a derelict house. And then, people trade it in at metal shops and get big money for them. So, yeah, Jim, maybe it's time for you to invest in that copper mine you've always had your eye on.
Yeah, it's called A Sack Full of Pennies. We'll have more with Jordan. That's my big investment here. We'll have more with Jordan Bateman right after this.
Bateman Resources Limited is a gold exploration company with significant projects in British Columbia and the Yukon, trading on the TSX Venture Exchange, symbol ABN, and the OTCQB, symbol ABNAF. Surrounded by world-class gold deposits and mines, Bateman's 23,000 hectares Forest Kerr Gold Project is located in the heart of the Golden Triangle in northwestern BC. For more information, visit us at batemanresources.com.
Engineer Gold Mines is focused on the exploration and development of the historic high-grade Engineer Gold Mine situated 32 kilometers southwest of Atlin, British Columbia. Engineer Gold Mines is fully permitted for surface and underground exploration with the drill program now underway. Engineer Gold Mines Limited trades on the TSX Venture Exchange, symbol EAU. For more information, please visit us at engineergoldmines.com.
Welcome back. We're speaking with Jordan Bateman. Jordan, so you're concerned about what the future of construction will look like. Will city halls have to make sure that perhaps they have an adequate number of staff in their permitting department once this is over to make sure that construction projects can get a quick go-ahead?
Well, exactly. That's one of the major concerns we've had. We've been pushing municipalities and the province very hard to make sure that they have the adequate permit staff, inspection staff, make sure that they have people in place ready to go, and start tendering projects. There is infrastructure that will need to be built or maintained over the next couple of years. Get your tenders out now. Let companies start bidding on it. Let companies start planning out what their order book's going to look like for the next couple of years. YVR shut down 2 of its major construction projects. And, this is a big concern to us because we had dozens of companies there working on those projects. One day they're working and the next day it's on hold. So, we were pressuring the federal government, look, you're going to want, at some point travel is going to come back. YVR is always going to be an important hub for Canada. You need to keep investing in these things and, try to, take this opportunity to build even more infrastructure, make sure that we're doing everything we can to set the stage for a quick economic recovery.
And I know in BC, what was it? Nelson had the best permitting process, and you could get a project built there relatively quickly. And I think Vancouver was lagging in last place, where people were lining up very early in the morning for just the chance of perhaps seeing a clerk. Do cities forget sometimes how important construction and getting projects underway quickly is important?
Oh yeah, cities forget all the time. The funny thing is, for a city, their project, the one that they're initiating, is the most important thing, God ever created. But, everyone else's project, oh well, we'll get to that when we get to that. That's a terrible kind of attitude to have. It's a challenge within the bureaucracy at the best of times. Now, with their resources stretched thin, it's even harder. And then there's kind of the unknown societal impacts of what could happen out of this COVID-19 pandemic. If it turns out that we look back and say, geez, like, it was the most highly dense, highly populated areas, cities, that really took the brunt of it. You think of New York City in the United States, will that then provide ammunition for the NIMBYs to, have another way to fight densification projects in their neighborhood, thus further constricting housing supply and further raising the cost of housing? That, to me, feels like a logical outcome. Like, I can just see that public hearing in, Kitsilano, a year and a half from now for a project to densify a portion of that community. You just feel and sense like people saying, this will open us up to more pandemics. We can't be like New York City with that kind of density. So, that's a concern as well that mayors and councils are going to have to deal with.
But in even Vancouver, which is one of the densest cities in Canada, we're not all that dense. If you've been to Hong Kong or London, believe me, we've got lots of breathing room, literally breathing room.
Yeah, or Wuhan, like we're not that dense. You're absolutely right. So that will be an interesting conundrum. Like, Vancouver doesn't build any more single family homes. It's all multifamily, and for very legitimate, correct reasons, we need to drive down the cost of housing. The way to do that is to add more units. But there is an outcome to that. There is a cost to that. That people are going to have to weigh for themselves.
We'll have more with Jordan Bateman right after this.
Cypress Development Corp. is developing a world-class lithium resource in the heart of Clayton Valley, Nevada. The size of the resource makes the Clayton Valley project a premier asset with the potential to impact the future of lithium supply. Cypress Development Corp. trades on the TSX Venture Exchange, symbol CYP, the OTCQB, symbol CYDVF, and on Frankfurt, symbol C1Z1. For more information, please visit our website, cypressdevelopmentcorp.com.
Don't miss out. Stay informed. Receive the HowStreet.com weekly recap with thought-provoking podcasts, radio, and articles delivered to your inbox. Sign up for the HowStreet.com weekly recap on our homepage at HowStreet.com.
Welcome back. We're speaking with Jordan Bateman. Jordan, time to put the skates on. Right now, of course, the typical Canadian would be huddled up in front of their TV watching intense playoff battles. We're not seeing the hockey anymore. But more importantly to all of us is any person who's, I would say, above the age of 5 in Canada at some point has put on skates and picked up a stick and knocked something around. How important is it to get minor hockey up and going again, and how tough is that going to be?
Well, I think it's very important, but it is going to be very difficult. So, we've seen hints from other provinces. I think Manitoba came out with their plan today, and they're looking at reopening kids' outdoor sports in a low-contact kind of environment in June, which is great. So they're looking at, like, can you do soccer, socially distanced baseball, things like that. There's some problems there. You're going to see a lot more practices and skill developments, I think, than games where you can't really control what's happening as much. I'm sure you're going to see all sorts of different health and safety rules brought in. Hockey, though, is really problematic because you play the game inside in arenas, which aren't always, noted for their hygiene and cleanliness. And, there's contact. It's a very social game. Kids get dressed and undressed all the way down to their skivvies before and after every game. There's a lot of sweat, there's a lot of spit, there's a lot of body contact. So I wrote a piece for the Orca.ca looking at how minor hockey could come back and, some of the rules that we need to be in place in order to meet Dr. Henry's kind of overarching directives. And, the game would be it would be very difficult. Essentially, if you were going to have a hockey game, a regular hockey game of kids of any age, you basically would not be able to have a single parent or grandparent in the building because you would hit that 50 person threshold. You've got 2 teams of 17, you got referees, you got coaches and health and safety officials and a timekeeper. That brings you to 48. So, you don't have that wriggle room to add more people. So, hockey may be very different this fall. I think a lot of associations are looking at maybe having more practices. There won't be any travel tournaments, obviously. There may not even be out-of-town games, in which case, you do wonder, what's the point of rep hockey if you're not playing games outside your little league? These are big questions facing associations in what is a very big dollar business in British Columbia.
Yeah, now, thinking about pro hockey, one of the most exciting things is 3 skaters and a goalie in overtime. Is that the solution? Because there's very little contact taking place when you have so few skaters out there. They're not body checking, they're just playing the puck.
Exactly right. So that was one of the solutions I proposed was, okay, what if you went to 3-on-3? That would cut your roster down from 17 kids to 10. And, that's a big difference because all of a sudden you have 20 players, you only need 2 referees, you're able to get to the point where for a game you could probably have 1 parent per child in the building to watch. And you're right, it would minimize contact. That's one option. I think, the problem with that is you need more ice. You'd have far fewer games, far fewer practices.
Well, you can play but it could be like 7-a-side rugby. You play shorter games because obviously if you're playing 3-a-side, you're going to be exhausted.
Oh, totally. The thing is, though, you would need to do, you need a longer turnaround for the arena in between because you're going to have to disinfect everything.
Oh, of course,
and you're going to have to escort everyone off the ice and out of the building before you can let the next group in. So, right now you can turn around an ice rink in 15 minutes from one game to the next. In fact, some do it in 10. Now you're talking more like you probably need 45 minutes to an hour in between games in order to fully disinfect and do everything you got to do. But it's going to be little changes, Jim. Like it's going to be, maybe for a year kids have to show up at games fully geared up except for their skates. And leave fully geared up except for their skates so that you don't have them pulling off their jersey and spraying sweat droplets into the air and things like that. It may be, I already went out and ordered my kid a glass hockey face shield rather than the wire one he's been wearing because, it's a little bit more protection for him. If he heads into the corner, at least the glass will protect his eyes, nose, and mouth a little bit more than maybe the wire cage did. But these are the kind of changes that, for hockey parents is really difficult. Like, do you really want to go through a whole hockey season where, the grandparents only see games via video? That's kind of where we're headed.
Jordan, well, we will get back to some kind of a way of life. Canadians are super inventive and, you've already thought about how to get hockey going again. And perhaps, it is probably the most expensive sport you can get your kids into. My sister said she was paying $15,000 a year for her son who, went on to play university hockey, so he was playing at a high level. Maybe they'll just have to have more, germ-resistant clothing and so on. And I think Walter Gretzky's, washing machines at 8 rinks will probably get a good workout.
Yeah, well, it's funny, right? Because there are so many superstitions in hockey. And, some people don't wash their jerseys for a whole season or their gloves or whatever. But, my sense is you're going to have to wash them after every use, just in order to make sure that, you're killing whatever germs are there, getting ready for your next game or practice.
Yeah. Well, I know when you buy, game-worn football jerseys, they always ask you, do you want it dirty, which could include blood and stuff, or do you want it washed? I bet you a lot of people now see, real collectors like the dirty one, but maybe that won't be the same anymore.
No, the world's changed, that's for sure, and I guess we're just trying to keep up with it. One industry, one sport, one step, one day at a time.
Jordan, thank you so much for chatting with us.
Thanks for having me.
My guest has been Jordan Bateman, Vice President of Communications and Marketing for the Independent Contractors and Business Association. His website, icba.ca. If you have any questions for Jordan or any of our other guests, you can send them to info@housestreet.com. Our YouTube channel is Talk Digital Network. Find us on Twitter at Talk Digital Net. We're also on Facebook. I'm Jim Goddard. Thank you for listening.
Comments made on the Goddard Report and TalkDigitalNetwork.com are an expression of opinion only. The Goddard Report is available online and mobile at TalkDigitalNetwork.com. The Goddard Report is a production of House Street Media Incorporated.